Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we're going to be working from dory greenspans around my French table, and I'm going to be making some different sort of nibbly things. I'm going to be putting together a charcuterie plate, some cheese and some salami and some crackers and some other things. Another recipe we're going to make from here, not in this video, but in another one. But I'm also going to include this Lyonnaise garlic and herb cheese, aka boursin's mama. So it's basically an herbed cheese, kind of like you can buy the boursin in the cheese section at the grocery store, but we're going to make it ourselves. But since we do not have fromage blanc, I did not have that available to me, not even at the mid-upper range grocery store that I shop at. I did not check Whole Foods. They probably have it. We're going to be using ricotta. And if you're using ricotta, she says to drain it for a few hours to thicken the texture a bit. She says to drain it just in a sieve over a bowl. No cheesecloth or anything. So we'll see how this works. So I'm going to put the ricotta cheese. I'm not going to check the amount. So that's fun. I'm trying not to force it through, but I don't want it to take up quite as much room in my refrigerator. So it's a little thick. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to let this sit in the refrigerator for at least a couple hours, up to overnight. We'll see how long I decide to do this. You can see that, can already see that a little bit of the liquid has drained from this. You just don't want this to be a super runny cheese. If we want it a little bit runnier, we can always add some back in. I'm not sure if we're going to be doing this later tonight or tomorrow, but what I'm going to do is cover it with some plastic wrap and put it in the fridge until we're ready to deal with it. But when we're ready to deal with it, I will have all of my herbs all mixed up, all chopped up and ready to mix with our ricotta to make this little cheese dip spread, whatever you want to use it for. And I'll meet you back here when this is done and all of that other stuff is done. So it's the next day. I know I'm wearing what looks like the same thing, and it is. I didn't wear it very long yesterday. But it's the next day. Our ricotta has been in the refrigerator overnight, draining, and I am just going to tip it out, and hopefully, yes, it all came out perfectly fine. I'm going to kind of keep this in case I need some of it. It didn't drain all that much liquid, so hopefully it's fine. You don't want it too loose. And now I'm going to use the same strainer to rinse these shallots that I have minced already. So I'm going to just drop them into the strainer. I'm going to rinse them in cold water, and then we're going to pat them dry. So I'm going to get some paper towels to pat them dry. I think this sort of removes some of the sharpness, some of the heat from them. That's my goal here. So I'm going to go do that. Oh, do a very poor job of tapping them into my paper towel so I can pat them dry. Good enough. So I'm going to just kind of pat this dry because we don't want a lot of moisture going into our cheese that we've drained. Well, our ricotta cheese. And get as much of these out of the paper towel and into my bowl as I can. And we're just going to add the rest of our ingredients in here. I'm going to do my herbs first. Oh, we also have some minced garlic that we are not going to rinse, and I'm just going to use this to scrape it out. There we go. I have some chives. This is way more than I actually need. She says snipped. I cut them. But I just cut all of them, and we will, I don't know, keep them in the refrigerator and top some things with them. We need some parsley, so I, again, minced up way more than I really needed. Didn't do a great job of mincing it, but good enough. And now I need to get a smaller spoon because it doesn't call for quite that much tarragon. So this is fresh tarragon that I minced. Don't love tarragon. Hope it doesn't completely overwhelm the flavor. And I think that was it for that. And now I'm going to add some, well, first we're going to do the olive oil. So some olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil. And some red wine vinegar. Mine is nothing special. So we got out some of the whey, and we're adding some flavor. And now the only thing we have left is some salt. So I'm just going to, this is all to taste, so I'm going to add what I think it needs right now. And then we can taste it later and add more if we think it needs it. But also some, she says freshly ground white pepper. I have it pre-ground. I'm just gonna sprinkle some in there. And now we are supposed to mix everything together lightly with a rubber spatula. So let me go get that. All right, I've got the rubber spatula I wanted. And I'm just going to mix this all up. And she says you don't want to beat this because you don't want to loosen it up too much, or thin it. And I think this is going to be fine. I will not need to add any of that whey back in. This is thin, a little, I mean, it's definitely spreadable consistency. So there we go. Let me get a little spoon and we can give it a taste. It will combine and mellow in the refrigerator, but I think the salt is what I really need to taste for at this point, because we did salt to taste. So I've got a little bit. I'm going to give it a little bit more salt and call it good. Just because those herbs and stuff, and ricotta is a little bit, it's not a salty cheese. It tastes a little sweet. All right. Now, I'm going to put this in a container. She says to cover and refrigerate for at least 3 hours. I'm going to just put it in a container in the fridge until we're ready for it. And we'll show you what it looks like when we serve it up. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make Lyonnaise garlic and herb cheese, aka Boursin's mama, from Dory Greenspan's Around My French Table. So I made this and served it sort of with a plate of vegetables and cheese and salami and things like that, just as like an afternoon snack while we made the rest of our Easter dinner. But we still had some left, so I thought I'd do a little taste test here for you guys. She says it's particularly good with radishes. I didn't have that. We served it with crackers. You could put it on bread. You can thin it with a little bit of milk or cream and use it as a dressing. You could use it as a stuffing for hollowed out tomatoes or store-bought peppers, cherry peppers, or anything like that. She says you do want to serve it cold. It does, so it's been sitting in the refrigerator for a little while, and you can kind of, if you can see that, there's definitely some liquid, which you could stir in, or if you feel like it's a little bit too thin, you could pour that off. Or if you're going to make it into a dressing, stir it in and add more milk or cream or whatever you want. So this is a decent cheese to have just sort of with just about anything. I think I've seen people use boursin for that baked cherry tomato pasta. I usually use feta, but they've put that, sort of in the oven and baked it and mixed it with the cherry tomatoes for a pasta sauce. I'm sure that would be delicious, but I thought I'd give a little taste. So we had a few red peppers left over. So let's see. The cheese is pretty sweet in and of itself, but now that it's been sitting for a while, I definitely get more of the sort of garlic and shallot flavor. And there's definitely an herb flavor in there. If you want it saltier, you definitely salt it to your taste. Mine is a little bit on the sweet side, but I'm going to taste a little bit more. I do get the herbs, but I definitely get more of the garlic than I did sort of the first day that we made it. Yep, I think I would like this with a little more salt. I did put in quite a bit of salt, and it is to taste. So that was, that was sort of all on me to decide how much. So I might add a little bit more salt. Let me do that. Pretty much need to refill my salt cellar anyway. So I'm going to add a little more salt. I'm going to get a little flavor of it with the salt, because salt really brings out all of the other flavors. That was very salty because I needed to mix it in, but I didn't want to mix it in everything. But I'm going to do that. Anyway, definitely taste it. And if it's too sweet for you, add more salt like I just did. So I'm looking forward to having the rest of this. I'm not sure if she says how long it'll last, but I mean, it's a cheese and herb, so I should probably eat it up pretty quickly. So we'll do that soon. That's better. So we really liked it. Everybody ate some. It was great with veggies. It was good with crackers and salami. That's how we ate it. I'm going to see if I can figure out something good to do with what we have left over. And I will include that in the description down below. But if you've enjoyed watching me make this, please give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. And if you've tried this, let me know in the comments down below. And come back and watch me make something else next week.